Greetings and welcome to FPTV. This is FPTV New Releases. And myself and Forbidden Planet's head book buyer, Laura Dodd, are privileged to be joined by Andrew Shaffer. How are you, mate?
I'm good. How are you both doing?
Yeah, very well, thank you. Very well indeed. I'm saying that. How are you doing, Laura?
I'm doing okay. I've just caught up with the new episode of The Boys, so I'm all good to go.
Yeah, excellent. Yeah, I watched that yesterday actually. And how are you doing, Andrew?
I'm doing great. I think though, in this pandemic times, you sort of grade on the curve. So, someone says, "How are you doing?" and you say, "Great," and they go, "Really? Are you okay?"
Yeah.
Oh, never better. I'm so good.
No, of course. I mean, as we were talking about just before we went live, there are particularly with your writing history, there's so many things that we could be discussing here, which are really quite super depressing. So let's not do that. Taking it, you have actually come totally outfit appropriate because we're talking to you as part of our 12 Days of Halloween strand. Yeah.
Really?
So, yeah. No. 100%, mate. So
Wow.
you instinctively have worn exactly the right outfit. It's really quite impressive.
That's fantastic. That's fantastic.
And I'm particularly impressed with the set of books that you've got on your shelf behind you there, mate.
Oh,
so
yeah.
I can see that you put some thought into this.
Yeah, this is not just a random bookshelf I'm in front of. In fact, I had to move this bookshelf onto my desk. It's because I don't have any books behind me in my office, and every interview you see, people have their books lined up, and so I had to take care. I was like, I'll get some of these hard case crime books, look lovely. And then up here we've got some Valancourt books, which are some paperbacks from hell. Which are 80s paperbacks, and it really, a lot of work went into this bookshelf because you can't even see the shelf itself. It's a coffin shaped too. So
I can see just a bit of the curve actually.
I went all out with this, and my wife just comes down and she sees me like moving a coffin into the office and setting up candles behind me that are supposed to look just, oh, are those there? They just must have been burning. It's been quite the day here so far.
Yeah, I can see. Well, I really appreciate the effort, and thanks for supporting our hard case crime imprint, which we're very proud of at Titan.
It's our sister company, so Forbidden Planet and Titan.
Oh, it is.
Yeah. So.
Oh, did you know that, mate? Oh, yeah.
I didn't even know that.
Yeah. So Laura is the head books buyer for Forbidden Planet, but my day job is I'm the EVP for Titan Entertainment, and that's one of their imprints. I actually also edit the Mickey Splains My Camera series written by Max Allen Collins.
Oh, wow. I love the Max Allen Collins books. Are great.
Yeah, he's a great talent, actually. He's really good. Like yourself, mate. So on that beautiful segue, what can you tell us about Secret Santa?
My last couple of books were political comedies, Obama-Biden mysteries. And after that, I said I wanted to do something that was less scary than politics. And at first I was kind of joking, but over, the past year or two, I'm like, oh my goodness, this is it. To do a horror novel, it feels like such a refuge from the daily, just, the brutal assaults of what you see on television and hear in the news and stuff. And the fact that I set this in the 1980s, I was like, you know what, I'm going to get away from all of that. I'm going to just, immerse myself in the 1980s for a while. And it kind of dredges up that 1980s horror vibe, which is a little bit trashy and, a little bit cheesy, a little bit scary as well. But it really just goes back to all of the books and the movies and stuff I loved as a child. And I was like, I want to really create the ultimate 80s horror book. So I had to set it in the 80s, and I was like, I'm finally getting away from all this politics and everything. And so I go to research, where I said it is in the East Village, and I'm researching the East Village in the 80s, and it could not, it's protests in the park. It's say no to Donald Trump. He's ruining the city. And I'm like, oh my goodness, I can't get away from this stuff. So, but it's a book about a Secret Santa office gift exchange that goes bad. So if you're not familiar with Secret Santa gift exchanges, it's like an anonymous sort of white elephant gift exchange. And the idea was just like, what happens if someone gets a cursed object there? And I think, that my editor had the original idea, but it was because I would send like cursed looking gifts to their offices in Philadelphia. When I had a book come out, I would send like a little super creepy baby doll that just, is just so terrifying, like hand painted fangs on it and all this stuff. And so I would send it there and they would pass it around the office and hide it in the cupboards and everything. And I was like, what if we write a book about, just someone getting something like that, because it's so much fun. And so that was sort of the idea behind the book. And the book, like I said, it's set in the 1980s in the world of publishing in New York City. And it's a lot of fun.
Such a beautiful concept. I mean, once you go into it in that level of detail, I'm amazed nobody's done that before. It's such a brilliant idea.
Oh, I'm sure someone's done it before, but they haven't done it this good. I really, if you read the book, you go, oh, this is sort of like Gremlins. It's sort of like a lot of people don't do this sort of thing in a novel, in a book form. At least lately, there's a lot of horror comedies, a lot of great horror comedies out there that come out in theaters or on video on demand, but you just don't see it in novels a lot.
Yeah, no, I think that's true. I think it's true. I think it's a very interesting place to have gone to. Laura, over to you, mate, because I know you've got a bunch of questions.
Yes, yeah, I do. So starting off with a kind of Christmassy, Halloweeny kind of question. What's the worst Secret Santa / Christmas present that you've ever received? And did you re-gift it?
The worst one that I ever received, I haven't actually personally done, I think, like a ton of Secret Santa exchanges, at least ones that were memorable. A lot of times there's just a lot of really boring gifts. And so and then there's like one or two gift cards and everybody fights over the gift cards. I mean, I'm thinking back a couple of years ago, my wife's family had a Secret Santa gift exchange and we just put in a CD. It was a Adele CD that we had wanted. And so we were like, you know what, we know we're going to get this back probably. So everyone it was just, at some point, Secret Santa exchanges became like gift card exchanges. They just go round and round. Do you want the $20 to McDonald's, or do you want the $20 to Walmart? And it's like, oh, this is not fun. And so yeah, the weirdest gift I ever received, though, I think was like a Halloween gift or something from an ex-girlfriend, and she gave me just this little keychain. It was Krusty the Clown from The Simpsons. Okay. And like, I guess I'm a Simpsons fan as much as anybody, but I was like, why did you choose Krusty the Clown and why a keychain? And she's just like, I just thought you might like it. And I'm like, what? Why? Why? And I go, and wait a minute, like, this is like you're giving me a oh my gosh. So yeah, so I've got some weird gifts out there that I definitely remember, and that that terrify me to this day, because I think that might have been a cursed gift as well. She was a witch, actually, so I shouldn't even say anything.
Careful.
That completely makes sense.
Yeah.
How involved in the world of witchcraft have you been?
Just besides dating witches,
yeah.
It.
Which is quite a heavy level of involvement, I would suggest.
It really is. But I wanted to go out and party on Halloween, and she always wanted to, do spells and stuff. And I was like, oh, this is so boring. So
Yeah, do you
yeah,
have to summon Satan again? I mean, can you just like
I know,
skip it this year?
I know. Well, can't we just go out and have a little fun, so yeah, but as far as like the paranormal goes and stuff, I've always been intrigued by it, but I would say I'm definitely in the skeptic camp. And but I think it's such a great tool to investigate and learn about different things, though. As far as um, what that goes. My cat just get out of here. Get out.
That's obviously tuned into the whole witchcraft conversation.
I know. I'm
what I mean?
sorry. Yeah, my familiar just passed.
Yeah.
No, and in fact, my wife, she's Catholic, so I felt that I got a little bit away from most of the witchcraft stuff, and just towards, and then she picked up like a witch book last year, like the Modern Witch's Guide to something, and I was like, oh God, what are you doing? What are you doing? And she's like, don't worry, it's for research for a book. I go, thank God. I can't go through with this again. I want to have fun on Halloween. Okay.
So you touched on kind of 80s kind of nostalgia and Gremlins just before. Is there other kind of 80s things that go into your writing? Like, what were your favorite kind of books and films of the 80s?
Oh, before in the 80s, it was like you just read like middle grade chapter books, and then you jumped straight into Stephen King and Clive Barker and maybe John Saul. And Stephen King and Clive Barker hold up, and Peter Straub and Anne Rice, they all hold up. But John Saul does not. So there are definitely some of those 80s horror books that I've went back and visited. And the same with like 80s horror films. Gremlins was a huge influence on me. My aunt took me to see it when I was very young. I must have been like 5 or 6, and I was like, let's go see that again. And so she just kept taking me to it, without any idea of what was going to happen to me as a result. And so I couldn't be more thankful though that she did. And my grandfather was the same way. He would screen movies like Critters and Ghoulies and for me, when I just look back and I go, what were you thinking? What were you thinking? And my grandmother was the same way though. She was like, what are you thinking? Why are you doing this to your grandson? And he's like, oh, he'll be fine.
So Andrew, while you've been talking, there's been a subtle shift in the color scheme in your office, or where you are now. It's kind of gone steadily darker.
Yes. It's mood dependent upon the darkness of the topics that I speak about. It just
I was hoping that was going to be the answer. Now you've got a background in comedy, right?
Right.
So
right.
So no, could you just elaborate on that a bit for us, please, mate?
Yeah, I had always written like really funny books and stuff as a kid. I was really into it. I wasn't the class clown though. So I tried to do like some like stand up, but it was just far too much attention on yourself. You have to just have like a huge ego just to go out on stage and just expose yourself in front of people. And I tried that a few times, I think in my 20s. I really did enjoy it, but it just wasn't for me. And and ever since I've been trying to do that, sort of that infused my books with that humor. And I've jumped around so many genres, from nonfiction, biography, to literary criticism, to fiction parodies. Did a parody called 50 Shames of Earl Grey.
Laura's mentioned this to me before.
And I've jumped around so much from genre to genre, from mystery now to horror. And at one point my agent goes, how am I supposed to sell you to publish? What is behind all this? And I'm like, it's the humor is there, and the humor sort of is what's cohesive. So I think if you read all of the books, no matter what genre it's in, it's going to be humorous, because believe me, I've tried to write serious books. I tried to write a serious romance about a werewolf, and my wife read a little bit of it and she's like, you just can't help yourself, can you? I'm like, what? And she's like, there's just so many puns in here, and all these jokes about how hairy he is. And I'm like, what? It's a serious book. She's like, no, you can't do it. So I think if I tried to write a serious horror novel where it was like super scary and everything, I can't help myself from putting a joke in there, you know.
Yeah, quite right too, mate. I think that's I think there's a particular, for me, you know, just as a fan, as a reader, what have you, there's just a particular way that horror and comedy index with each other that's particularly satisfying. If somebody like you gets it right, I actually find that a lot more enjoyable than just reading straight horror.
Yeah, and I think that's you touched on something there, gets it right. And because it's so easy to get wrong. And I think, you know, the wrong way to do it in my personal philosophy is you don't ever make fun of the creature or the evil. You know, you have the characters be funny, they get into funny situations, it can be laugh out loud. However, that's there to break the tension. But as soon as you make, you know, as soon as Freddy or Jason or whatever becomes a joke, you know, and they're stumbling or whatever, you go, oh, it just doesn't have the right tonal balance, I think. And so that's why, you know, if you read Secret Santa and you go, it's got this goofy sort of doll at the middle of it, that if you step back and you go, well, that's kind of goofy. Well, but if you read it in the world, they take it seriously. So it's always about taking it seriously. And that's what I did with, you know, my mysteries. You go, oh, Obama and Biden solving mysteries, you know, it must be like a crazy romp. Well, it is, but, you know, they're solving a real mystery. It's not like the case of, you know, who dog napped Bo or something, you know?
Yeah, right on. I mean, do you think the Obama Biden is something you can return to in the fullness of time? You know, whatever happens with future events. I'm kind of hoping that Biden becomes the president, but, you know,
I hope so. At first when that started, you know, when he announced he was going to run and stuff, I was like, oh, you're messing up my plans for the future of the series, because he was supposed to go right off into the sunset on horseback with Obama, and it was going to be beautiful. It's going to wrap it up with a third book, you know, but now he's back in the game. And you know, the only problem I have now is that, you know, once you're sort of the president, once you're back in power, you're no longer the underdog. You know,
right. Exactly.
and people will read the books and will be like, I don't, you know, I felt sort of sorry for him before, you know, he was out of office and Obama wasn't returning his phone calls, and you know, and he had nothing to do, so he decided to solve crimes. Well, once he's in the office, you're like, get to work, man. We don't have time for this, you know?
Yeah, right on. Hey, so Andrew, we're accelerating full bore into the end of our time together. So Laura, do you have one more question?
Yes, I do. So you also have a column for the Huffington Post for kind of book reviews. Is that correct?
I did, several years ago. I haven't written anything for them for a while, simply because I didn't. Well, they didn't pay anything. I mean, yeah,
that's familiar.
You know, what it was I when you write for something like that where you don't get paid or whatever, I always tell new writers never to, you know, work for free. However, when you put an article on the Huffington Post or something, you can put links in there back to your own website and stuff. And so I was using it for, this is incredibly geeky stuff, but search engine optimization. So that's what I tell people is, you know, you may want to get your name out there just to get like links back to your website and stuff like that. So nerdy. You have a less nerdy question?
We could try. So we've been asking all the authors taking part in our 12 Days of Halloween, what's the thing that most scares them? So what is it for you?
You know, what scares me, you know, there's so many things in the world right now that scare me. What most
doesn't
scares
scare you?
me?
That's what we should be asking people.
What most scares me is that, you know, how crazy real life is. And when you do satire and stuff, like I've done some satire and try to make something as wild as possible, the fact that the world can then outpace your fiction is just insane. I mean, in 2016, I wrote a book before Donald Trump was the nominee called Day of the Donald, about a fictional Trump presidency. And the publisher was like, we need to get this out as soon as possible because he's going to be out of this race and this isn't going to happen or whatever. And then he became the nominee. And all of a sudden I had nobody wanted to read the book, you know. My liberal friends didn't want to read it because obviously like, we don't want to jinx the election, you know, and then conservatives didn't want to read it because it was a book and there were no pictures. And so I had a therapist and she goes, please tell me that you don't know something about the future. And I was like, are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? I pay you to tell me that I'm not crazy and you think I can tell the future. And of course, as soon as Donald Trump won, I never went back to see her. I just stuck a postcard in the mail, wrote sorry, signed my name, dropped it in the mail, never saw her again. So that's what scares me, is that when I write something and it sort of comes true. And I wrote these Obama-Biden books, and the whole second book was about Biden deliberating about whether to run for president, and he decides to run at the end. That book comes true. I'm like, are you kidding me? Oh no.
Right.
So if Secret Santa comes true, oof. I mean, actually, I mean, it won't be that bad.
It'll be kind of amazing, actually. If
it would kind of be amazing. You'd be like,
yeah.
wow, we have proof of the supernatural. You know,
Yeah.
I mean, what else could happen in 2020?
Oh yeah. Also, just being, you know, Andrew, the author who predicts the future, is a pretty sweet place to be, I think.
I mean, it is a pretty sweet place. I feel like I was almost going to say I don't get enough credit for Donald Trump's presidency, but I don't think credit is the right word.
Yeah. And on that quite chilling note, actually, this has been FPTB 12 Days of Halloween with Andrew talking about his awesome book, Secret Santa. Thanks so much for joining us, mate. We really appreciate it.
Hey, thanks. Great talking to you, Andrew and Laura.
Yeah, great to meet you. You take care of yourself. All the best.